Today on Up at Noon, we survived a real-life Zelda puzzle room. Beauty and the Beast has theater-exclusive content? What? And I'm spending a ton of money on Nintendo Switch. All that and more, this is Up at Noon. Hello and welcome to Up at Noon. I'm Brian Altano. This is Max Scoville. This is our wonderful, stupid, and incredibly awesome weekly comedy variety show here at IGN, where we cover a wide range of topics, from why does the Stormtrooper think he's on a roller coaster to Zelda and pizza.
Yes, we cover all of these things, and sometimes people say that we're doing a dumb thing. No kidding. Look at this. Look at this. How would anyone ever take this seriously?
The reviews are in.
Obviously, if you're watching this, thank you for watching this. Thank you for tuning in live if you're able to do that. Fun fact, you can watch Up at Noon on all sorts of different platforms, IGN.com or IGN's various apps on PS4, Xbox One, Apple TV, Roku. We're also on twitch.tv/IGN, IGN's Facebook page, which you should like because they put things on there.
Yes.
They're very cool. And of course, youtube.com/IGN. That's a lot of different chat streams to keep an eye on. So we mostly use Twitter to keep track of what you have to tell us, like how we're doing. Are we doing okay?
Yeah.
Let us know and just use the hashtag Up at Noon on Twitter.
We got some great news. If we hit 10 million YouTube subscribers, the IGN logo is actually going to take all of its clothes off.
Yeah. You ever
Who
seen
knows what's under there?
Nude logo?
Maybe a skeleton.
Yeah.
That's going to be terrifying.
You know what? If I was in charge of IGN, I'd change the logo to just a sick skull.
This week is brought to you by nobody.
No, it's brought to you by those terrifying elks.
Yeah. No one actually sponsored the show this month. So you know what we can do? The same thing we always do.
Yes.
This show. We have a good one for you. We have a lot of topics to cover. Everything from X-Men to Zelda to Star Wars, as always. First of all, I want to give a thank you to Robert, our fat shark.
Our big boy. He's getting larger and larger. Let's take a nice look at this man. We showed you this before. It's one of those stupid sponge animals you put in there. But guess what?
We actually jammed a little alligator in
He's
there,
got a roommate.
Too. Yeah.
Look at that. Now, legally, they can't get married, but they still live together.
That's called the Florida Feud, right down in there. So
it's called a sexy funeral, is what it's called.
Yeah, this is, if you just had a 60th divorce party, this is a good mocktail you can order at the bar.
Yeah, this is a good, yeah.
Thanks for watching. Remember, use the hashtag Up at Noon. I'm going to be watching that the whole show. You all right?
Yeah, no, I'm just having a good time. Yeah, is that thing on?
Yeah, David Joseph Wesley says, in Soviet Russia, Up at Noon watches you.
All right.
Get used to saying that.
No. We'll get yelled at.
Okay.
Don't be doing that.
Let's talk X-Men.
Yes, let's talk X-Men. Obviously, X-Men are they're great. We love them. They've been making X-Men movies for pretty much longer than basically any other Marvel characters.
It was some of the first comic book movies to really sort of get it right, or at least get things right in the right direction. I think one of the major issues with that, looking at them now, is that was the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Things have changed.
Since then, a lot of stuff's been rebooted. Spider-Man's coming up on his third big cinematic reboot.
Yep.
We've seen kind of Batman get rebooted a handful of times. X-Men are still sort of on the same timeline. They kind of did this whole switcheroo thing with Days of Future Past and time travel, like they're prone to do. But now we are also getting kind of solo movies. We've got the third Wolverine movie coming out. We've got the second Deadpool, and we're getting an FX TV series of Legion. The problem is, at this point, there are so many different scattered X-Men timelines and universes and things going on that it's really, really hard to keep up with them and get everything right. And I think that they've reached a point where they're just sort of very loosely considering this a cinematic universe. And it sounds like they're pretty much just sort of saying screw it.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a good thing to do, because I went to go see X-Men Apocalypse last year with some friends, and I think you have to go into that movie sort of with a lot of almost baggage, homework. If you bring in the sort of kind of uninitiated, we saw a thing that a lot of game publishers are doing now. You look at Star Wars as well, like dropping the numbering systems. Final Fantasy being like, it's for beginners and experts and stuff like that. The X-Men franchise is sort of like a big plate of spaghetti. Like, it's kind of hard to track what universe happened, multiple different versions have happened, like with Wolverine entering. We've seen his origin story a few times now, so there's just a lot.
That's kind of the same deal with the comics. The comics just never know where to start, where to get on board.
So Max, how do you fix that?
So obviously, if you're trying to keep track of the X-Men timelines and it's confusing, that's okay, because the people who are making them aren't even trying anymore. We got Logan coming up. At one point was called Wolverine 3. At this point, the fact that they're calling it Logan should kind of tell you that they're just being like, this is sort of just its own movie. X-Men Origins Wolverine was such a disaster, and then The Wolverine might as well have been a reboot of that. And then Logan's coming along, and this is kind of a loose reinterpretation of Old Man Logan. But we got a quote from Hugh Jackman. There's been some back and forth about where this takes place. In the trailer, Wolverine picks up an X-Men comic and is like, the X-Men, and Xavier's there. But as far as this being, is this a sequel? Is he just sort of playing a spiritual successor to Wolverine? What's the deal?
Yeah.
Still Wolverine, obviously. But Hugh Jackman had this quote. He said, when you see the full movie, you'll understand. Not only is it different in terms of timeline and tone, it's a slightly different universe. It's actually a different paradigm, and that will become clear. Well, gee, I really hope so, because you didn't make it any clearer with that statement.
Yeah, so apparently it takes place in the late 2020s, which is decades after what's happening now. And I think that gives them enough space to sort of get away from even the possibility that there's like timeline convergence or crossover stuff. I think they just wanted a really cool excuse to make this film, and to go into this movie with the least amount of baggage as possible is the best approach. Because I don't want, I want to see characters like Rogue and Jubilee and Professor X and Storm, but I don't think I want to see them in this movie.
Okay, well that's fine. On the other hand, we've also got Deadpool 2 coming up, and we had a nice quote from Paul Wernick, who I believe is directing. He said, what's nice is Deadpool exists in his own universe. He's part of the larger X-Men universe, but in a way he isn't. Okay? He interacts with that world, but he is in the present. Now, obviously, the place and time is a weird thing here, because we've got stuff set in the future, we've got stuff set in the past, you've got, Days of Future Past, and you've got First Class, and then Deadpool's making fun of the fact that there are too many timelines.
Right.
So you're like, okay, Deadpool gets a pass on that one. And then on top of that, we've also got Legion, the upcoming TV show, and we had Noah Hawley had a quote about that regarding the timelines and stuff. If you were to say, where is it and when is it, it's not exactly clear, I think. And a lot of that is because he's not exactly clear. It's the world as perceived subjectively on some level. So basically the excuses here are Wolverine's like, it's a paradigm, bub. You'll get it when you see the movie or whatever. And then Deadpool's like, it's Deadpool, who cares? And then Legion's like, he's crazy, so it makes sense in his head. And you're like, okay, so what the hell is the X-Men cinematic universe? Does it need to have one? Is it okay for these things to kind of just exist separately?
Yeah, and I think that's like, I remember being a kid picking up a comic book. One of the things that you really love about it is that you don't necessarily always know exactly where it sits in the timeline. Sometimes you're just like, it's a cool story, right? They're self-contained, independent, individual stories, and I think TV in the last 10 years or so has become excellent at sort of depicting that as a great medium, a great vessel, a great opportunity to tell a story that's sort of self-contained and has this sort of undercut or undercurrent thing. You look at a show like Fringe, right? A Monster of the Week show that would sort of bake in a bigger, longer tale throughout the entire base of it. There's something like that that's really cool. It's something that you don't see from, I guess, like Twilight Zone or Black Mirror. But I think with this, you have this idea of coming into these characters, learning a little about them every week, and then understanding that maybe it does fit in the grand scheme of things, but it's not necessarily the most important aspect of the show.
I guess my issue here is that I love the source material, and I believe it's possible to take the X-Men and faithfully adapt it into stuff you see on the screen.
Sure.
I think that they've effectively given up on that, and I think what we're going to get is better movies and TV shows because of that, but not necessarily good X-Men movies and TV shows. I would say that Logan looks like as much of a good Last of Us movie as it does a good Wolverine movie.
Of course, yeah.
And if you told me that Legion wasn't, if you didn't tell me that this was anything related to X-Men, I'd be like, this looks like a weird psychological thriller about a schizophrenic dude with mercy. It looks like the new M. Night Shyamalan movie,
right.
But the fact that it's got the X-Men logo in the logo is kind of like, okay, so it's got expectations to live up to. So I don't know. Creative liberties are awesome, but
I think
what's the point of the X-Men license if you're not using it?
I totally agree with that, and I think that they're sort of beholden to the Bryan Singer vision that he's had for now 15 years. But if you look at Spider-Man's something that gets rebooted every few years, right?
Yeah.
So why is it that gets a kind of a second and a third chance? Is it Fox? Is it the difference between Fox and Sony? Because now we're getting the third telling of Spider-Man in 15 years, right? Yeah. But X-Men is still part of this sort of main timeline. And I think that if you recasted all those characters, people might get a little upset. But let's get a few years away from this, from where we are now with the X-Men movies. Do the Logan thing. After that, sort of give it a fresh start. Yep. Let's go 90s X-Men. Make the cartoon.
It needs a reboot. God, I want that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you did something very weird recently.
Yeah.
You went into a Zelda escape puzzle room.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I brought my good friends Marty Sleva and Zach Ryan. Zach Ryan is joining us today.
Speak of the devil.
To tell us all about it.
Get away from me.
Hey, Zach, how you doing, man?
Hi, we escaped the room.
Yeah, you escaped this room when you used to produce this show, but we dragged you back in, didn't we?
Sure did.
So we went to a thing called Scrap Presents the Legend of Zelda Escape Room.
That's right.
Now,
that's the Defenders of the Triforce.
Yeah, that's right. So this is a really interesting thing because obviously we've all been playing Zelda games our whole lives.
True.
Zelda puzzles are a huge part of Zelda.
Yeah.
I'd say, probably one of the most important things in those games is just making sure that there's a good sort of continuity and flow the way you enter a level and then when you finally leave it, from getting each individual key to the Master Sword and the Master Key and all that kind of stuff, fighting the boss and defeating him. I didn't know how this would translate to an actual room thing. Now, I haven't really done an escape the room thing before. Have any of you guys?
I've never done one before.
Yeah.
Either. Yeah, this is my first
So
time.
I think what I was expecting was sort of a small contained, they would lock us in a hotel room and we had to find a way out. Not really the case with this.
Yeah, I think maybe my expectations were skewed as well because I was thinking that it was something more along the lines of there'd be a room that would be built out as a Zelda dungeon and there would be switches and puzzles to solve within the context of the room itself.
Did you expect disco balls?
Well, there were actually a lot of
we've
disco
got an
balls.
image of the room here. If you told me this was Zelda related, I wouldn't really
Well, it's
believe
not.
you.
But this is what one of the what one of Scrap's events looks like here or over there in Japan. So this is actually we went in thinking this is going to be we're going to be locked in little hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And it's actually you're sitting at tables in groups of 6.
Yeah.
Now,
As it turns out, you're just sort of in a conference room doing crossword puzzles.
Exactly. I wanted to say real quick, we're going to give you all the information on how to do this thing yourself if you're living in one of the cities where it's happening. What we're not going to do is spoil any of the puzzles in it or do any of that stuff because I know how incredibly important that stuff is to people. So let's talk about how it basically ran down. So you, me, and Marty sat down at a table.
Right.
Immediately, we're kind of greeted by people in Zelda costumes and stuff like that.
Well, okay, debatable because the first person that we were greeted by kind of looked like Altair from the Assassin's Creed games.
I thought it was like an Ezio type of scenario.
Yeah.
And then you're presented with a short
They
film.
gave us yeah. They used art from Ocarina of Time, and they put a nice After Effects jiggle on there, and they explained what was happening in the Defenders of the Triforce context and how it was going to set up the story for us. Well, I mean, it was basically like a Zelda story, right?
So, and I think what's interesting about this is now we were paired off with 3 other people who we'd never met before, and we sat down with them and we were basically told to solve puzzles together.
Right.
And the puzzles were basically in this big book. New things would stack up every few minutes. Conditions would change. Variables would change. Almost every part of everything became part of the puzzle in some way.
Right.
Right down to...
So you really did have to think outside of they give you a binder with the puzzles written out, within this binder, but then you kind of had to find context clues around the room itself, and within, within the space, and also they had done a really great job of building out the Rudo Kingdom, and there was also, they had the Goron Kingdom's rooms kind of set up where you would go and talk to these characters role-playing as these different Zelda races.
You're essentially in this giant room full of poker tables, and then off to the side were stations where you would have to go and interact with people sort of in Zelda costumes, and there was Zelda iconography and props, and you would have to solve riddles and puzzles there. And it was kind of amazing because once it started, you saw probably 100 people scrambling around the room, all wearing green hats.
Running around wearing goofy Link hats.
Now, only 4 teams actually completed all the puzzles in an hour. You have 1 hour to finish everything.
I think it was less than that. I think it was only 2 teams.
Was it 2 teams?
Yeah.
So we did not.
We
take a
came
look.
so close, though. It was such a
really
buzzer beater.
close.
We were within 10 seconds of solving that
I
puzzle.
do want to point out we did a bit of sequence breaking by accident. We were struggling to get, so at one point we got a treasure chest, no spoilers, and we couldn't figure out the combination for it. And Marty
We thought
Sleva,
we had the right combination.
Yeah.
We put the combination in and we were like, that's it. We solved the puzzle. And so Marty pulled on the lock to open it, and it didn't open. He goes, well, the combination is correct. So he gave it a nice little tug and just yanked the lock straight off.
just ripped it right off.
Okay.
So then we ripped open the treasure chest and got on to the next step.
I
even
just
though
called
we had
that
skipped.
sequence breaking.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect. So 2 teams won. We'll take a look at one of the teams that won, who are actually a bunch of our friends.
Yeah.
We've
You might recognize some of these.
Yeah, this is Andrew Renee and Amaris and. We got
Lizzie back there.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people.
Alexa, previously at GameSpot.
Yeah. So a lot of games journalists, games industry people were there, but there were also a lot of people who were just Zelda fans. So it was really cool. They did really well. We did not do as well.
They look so wholesome, like they're having a good time in these little hats and everything.
Yeah.
And then there's these idiots.
Yeah. Then there's these numbnuts.
Yeah.
Were there children there? Are you just flipping the bird?
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of children there.
So great job going representing IGN and throwing those fingers around, you jerks.
Yeah, sorry.
Well,
you can't spell IGN without that I right in the. I did it again. All right. So, long story short, I think this is something absolutely worth doing if you're a Zelda fan. I'm hearing that I believe a different company is doing a Resident Evil one coming up, which could be really interesting.
Yeah, and actually, Scrap has done. It might actually be Scrap that's doing the Resident Evil one as well. I know that Capcom had partnered with some folks to do one in the UK that I believe some of our compatriots got to participate in.
Yeah.
But then also, Scrap has done Escape the Rooms for Final Fantasy XIV. And for
did they do the Evangelion one?
No, but they also did an Attack on Titan one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So they have this sort of recurring nerdy kind of theme, which was funny. And they definitely found a niche. Like
They're like even dorkier haunted houses.
yeah, absolutely. But I thought what was really funny is that if you go to Scrap's website, one of the tabs on the Zelda escape room tab is what is Zelda? And I feel like that's a question that anybody that would participate in a Zelda escape room need not ask themselves.
Well, maybe there's just people who are just hardcore escape room fans that don't know about that. So that's interesting. I will say this was a really fun night, and I had a really good time. But on top of all of that, we got really lucky because they also kind of like quietly announced towards the very end of the evening that like, oh, there's a whole bunch of Nintendo Switches behind this curtain over here, and you can play Zelda on the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
So that went from being like, oh, this was a fun night solving puzzles with my friend.
Yeah, and that was like, we kind of got the brief on that a little bit earlier, but people in the room didn't know that the Switch was there and didn't know that Zelda would be available to play. And people lost their minds when they told them that. That was so cool. It was such a nice little bonus.
Quick impressions on actually holding the console. What'd you think?
So awesome.
Yeah. See? Yeah. That's Alexio. He's in our control room. I wanted to do the Zelda demo, and they're like, you have 20 minutes left. And I was like, I only want to hold the controller for 2 minutes, and I'm passing it to this guy over here.
Yeah,
so.
the woman that was giving Marty and I the demo must have thought we were just like circus freaks because we've both played that Breath of the Wild demo before. It's the same one that they showed at E3, but we started playing, and immediately I said to the woman giving us the demo, like, hey, do you mind if we take the Switch out of the dock and hold it on the tablet? Because neither of us have done that. And she was like, yeah, I guess that's fine. So Marty and I took turns playing it on the tablet, which looks amazing, like so good.
Zelda looks stunning on that.
And then we took the Joy-Cons off the tablet, put the kickstand out and set it down. And then Marty and I were doing like a weird squat, like playing the game low, looking at it on the screen. She probably thought we were just the strangest boys.
You're pretty weird.
Yeah.
So
I got to go hands-on with the Pro Controller, which I was sort of like, oh, what's the story with this thing? Like, I don't know. I just pre-ordered it because I was like, oh, I'm an idiot when it comes to launch. We'll get into that in a minute. For $70, this thing is actually a really good, really nice feeling controller. It's got like 40 hours of battery life. The asymmetrical sticks are, as a PlayStation guy, I'll kind of bounce between that and Xbox a lot.
Sure.
But something I'll get used to. But it's a really good, comfortable controller, and the build quality on the Switch itself, it honestly, from going from like the Wii U to the Switch, feels like going from like the cell phone I had in college to like an iPhone 7.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's really light.
It's got a nice like heft to it so that it doesn't feel cheap, but it's not so heavy that you're going to get fatigued playing it.
Yeah, I think they kind of just knocked it out the park.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, Zach, it was great having you here, but if there's another room you need to escape, it's this one.
Yep.
Please leave.
See you guys
That's right.
later.
Thanks, Zach. See you soon. Let's take a quick look at some of the cities that will be available for this thing. San Francisco 2, which is the sequel to San Francisco.
Ah, yes.
The first one has been overrun by hippies and liberals. You can also check it out in Phoenix, Seattle, Chicago, a couple other places hiding around over there, and more places coming soon, such as Toronto. So if you're interested in this, jump on it. It's a really fun night.
Cool. So I want to talk about this a little bit. Nendoroids are a series of toys that if you like cute little cuddly boys like this, you might love them. They are made in Japan, super articulated, have tons and tons of accessories, and they come in all kinds of varieties. Here's One Punch Man. We also have a Pokemon trainer who apparently has all his Pokemon in balls. And then good old Teddy from Persona. You'll never guess whose desk I got that off of. And they just announced they're doing one for Breath of the Wild too, which is awesome. And I believe this is our first time having a nendoroid horse.
Yeah, it's really cool. So there's a regular version of this, which I believe you can see on the left, and the DX version, which is on the right. It comes with the hood, extra accessories. One cool thing about these toys is that they do have different faces that you can swap in and out.
Yeah, I think we got to look at that here. He's got the happy chicken face. I love that this is like nendoroids. They're just like us.
Yeah.
They eat chicken, and they check stuff on their phones.
I love. He's got his little tablet there, the Sheikah Slate. So one thing I really love about these is I think that for certain games and certain properties, they lend themselves better. I bought the Wind Waker one specifically because I think that like it really lends itself to its style. And I think Zelda and Link in general are sort of like, I've always looked adorable in chibi form. So this is great. So here's a look at some of the accessories here. You get that really cool bow and arrow.
Funny horse.
That axe, which I got to try for the first time the other night. It's really fun to chop down trees with that thing.
Cool.
And yeah,
you get the magic arrows and all that. Yeah, so this is the DX version. I think it'll cost you around $50-$60, and the other one is probably considerably cheaper. And these vary obviously because they get imported, and they'll get jacked up at conventions and whatnot. And what's cool is I think you can probably use the horse with all kinds of other people. So if you've got if you want to combine it with Wind Waker Link, there you go. But,
So you can pre-order this now, I believe.
Yeah, it's up for pre-order. Should be out in a few months.
Okay. I'm gonna get this.
As far as toys go, these are pretty easy to come by. Like they're not. They're fun to collect. They're great.
Yeah.
They're like the thinking man's Funko Pops.
Yep.
Anyway, on the subject of the Switch, I think it's time we talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, let's talk a little about the Nintendo Switch launch. We are around 30 days away right now, which is
that's exciting. There's a month left.
Isn't that crazy how fast that snuck up on us? We both pre-ordered them, which is really cool.
Yeah, you got a chance to hold it for the first time. I think this might be a very fancy device that I don't hold until it's mine.
Yeah.
Like it's going to show up and I'm going to take it out of the box, which I'm trying to think of the last time if that's ever happened.
Well, I don't think it'll happen because we'll get some ones over here at IGN.
Maybe I don't want to touch it. Maybe I want it to be a nice surprise.
So I don't know if I ever told you the story, but when the Nintendo 64 was about to launch, I saw it at a Toys R Us and I refused to. I covered my eyes.
Really?
Because I wanted it to be a surprise when I opened up the system. Yeah. So the Nintendo Switch is $299. You could go into a store, you could buy that, you could walk out, plus some tax, which I'll avoid today. And that'll be fine, right? Obviously, you won't get Zelda, which is the entire reason you should be there. Zelda's an extra $60, so that's a different story. The Pro Controller, on the other hand, $70. Now, I'm gonna go through this path right here real quick. These are all of the things myself, Brian Altano, have personally pre-ordered already. So if you're watching this video and you're like, I didn't buy those things, you don't need to buy those things. I get it. I totally understand. If you're fiscally, responsible, conservative, frugal, that's all great things to do. I get stupid at console launches. I spend money I shouldn't spend. I just get excited. I get caught in the gist of all of it.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody should have a Pro Controller, it's you. You are on NVC. You are a professional Nintendo player in some sense.
Yeah. So this is the Pro Controller. I got to try it the other day. I absolutely adore it. It's got these weird sort of like see-through front faceplates,
why didn't they just make it like atomic purple?
All the way clear? Oh, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. Yeah. So, all right, so let's do the math so far. I spent $300 on the Nintendo Switch.
Okay, we got 300.
There we go.
And then we got 70.
70. Next up, Zelda. Now, you could just buy Zelda for $60. That's great. That's a good time. But why would you do that when you can get the $130 Master Edition, which I did? It comes with a little Master Sword and a coin and a CD, which plays on nothing.
Yeah, you can drive around in your 2003 Toyota Camry or whatever and listen to that on there.
It's also got a map and a box and this cool Sheikah Slate inspired carrying case, which I think is like really big. We'll take a look at eventually when that thing comes out. But so yeah, I needed Zelda. You need Zelda, right?
Yeah.
You just can't go without that.
You don't have to pay $130 for it, but that's what you decided.
This is what I did.
So so you're already at about what, 500 there?
Yeah, we're getting
something like that.
Yeah, we're getting up there.
I'm not a math dude. Whatever. And then, of course,
Yeah, 1-2 Switch. I want to try out these Joy-Cons. I want to try this new HD Rumble thing. I wanted a multiplayer game I can play with friends. This is just a cool game. I'm a little irked it's so much money, personally. But, it just looks like a fun thing. It looks like the sort of, classic, weird, wacky party Nintendo that I love.
It looks like a less evil WarioWare.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had to get this. Got to get this,
cool.
Right?
Yeah, and then of course
Bomberman, a long dormant franchise which I've loved forever. Now, keep in mind, there's like 6 games in the Nintendo Switch launch, and I'm buying 50% of them. But I love Bomberman, and I think it's gonna be really fun playing with Joy-Cons, multiplayer, and this thing's gonna be awesome. You can play 8-player on one Switch with this thing if you have a whole bunch of Joy-Cons, which I didn't buy extras of, but there we go, another $50. I'm gonna go mostly digital on this thing. That's me. The Samsung Evo Pro 256GB memory card is the biggest one you can buy right now that isn't the yet to be actually invented 1 or 2 terabyte micro SD cards, which the Switch does and will inevitably support. But right now, this is the biggest one you can buy. I got mine for around $75. They usually go for about $150. Ooh, look at that. Hi. That is perfect.
What a weird show we make.
That's good. Finally, I'm a 0.
Oh, that looks like money I wouldn't want to spend.
So there we go. So I spent $100 there. I averaged that, right? You can go less. The 64 gigabyte ones or 120 gigabyte one goes from anywhere between 40 and 60 bucks. I saw a $200 or 200 gigabyte one for $60 the other day.
Okay.
So you can get by doing better than that. Or maybe you just want to go entirely physical and just buy carts forever.
But Brian, what if I want to charge my Nintendo Switch from up to 10 feet away?
Well, you could use the included AC adapter, but I'm assuming you're going to plug that into the dock and keep that plugged behind your TV forever, because that's what people do with consoles. If you don't, you can go on Amazon like I did and buy one of these USB-C extension cords and plug it into basically any one of those like little Apple iPhone plug-in chargers things, or your external charger that you probably have already for something else.
Yeah.
Maybe you were playing Pokemon Go last year and you ran through all your phone batteries. You bought one of those things, one of those little like charging sticks.
Okay.
So we're assuming that'll all work together. So that's all the stuff I got so far. Let's do a little roundup. That is, doing the math, $710 total, not including the California sales tax, which makes me just writhe in pain every time I have to pay it. And that's just on day one.
Oh boy.
So that's
And that
kind of a problem.
Is not including extra Joy-Cons, the charge grip, external battery pack, and of course the carrying case. Though you did get a carrying case with your with your Zelda.
So my Zelda carrying case is gonna be pretty big. I saw another one that made by Hori that looks really cool. Hori. Yeah, the Japanese company. So the Joy-Cons, $80 for a pair. Kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Like kind of a bit much there. You can buy them for $50 individually, but if you do want to play 4-player, 8-player games, like that's going to rack up. You don't need them. The Joy-Con charge grip, you don't need that either, right? With the Pro Controller especially, the actual box itself comes with the charging grip. It just doesn't actually, it just comes with the grip. It doesn't actually charge. Wow. And finally, the external battery pack. Those go for around $50, $70 depending on what you.
But
get
I mean,
or what you want.
you're like a month out from owning this thing, and you're already $700 deep. So
yeah.
Video games are expensive. That's a reality. They are high-tech electronic toys from the future. What about you guys? Are you going overboard? Or are you trying to kind of maybe, wait for a sale or something?
Yeah, I think at the very least you're probably getting a Switch and Zelda. If you're not, man, you are very unique, because I guess you're getting Just Dance. You want to you really want to dance? I don't know. Anyway, I've been a Nintendo fan for a long time, so obviously when it comes to Nintendo console launches, I go a little crazy. I actually did the same thing with Sony and Xbox as well. I have a problem. But since I've been a Nintendo fan for so long, one of my favorite franchises as a kid, one of the first NES games I ever had was Double Dragon. I bought Double Dragon 1, Double Dragon 2, and Double Dragon 3, and I played couch co-op with my brothers for years because those games were awesome. Recently, Double Dragon 4 was announced, and it's out now. IGN gave it a 3.5. That broke our hearts, so we had to see exactly how bad it is for ourselves. Let's take a look. Yo, what's up, boys and girls? It's Brian and Max, and we're playing Double Dragon 4 on the PS4.
AKA Bimmy and Mimmy are back again to do some punching and kicking down in the streets.
Bumbles and Jumbles Jeffs are back. So Double Dragon's been a game, it's actually one of the first NES games I ever got, and Double Dragon 4 is a sequel to it. We got Double Dragon Neo a couple years ago, which was sort of like Neon, which is sort of like a retro remake with like new sound effects and stuff. But this game is like legit old school NES graphics. Obviously, it's got widescreen. It's a little more 16-bit, but let's just jump right in. If you're not familiar with it, Double Dragons is a game about two brothers, Billy and Jimmy, who I think their girlfriend gets punched, and then they have to go fight bad guys and some ladies. And
sounds like a video game.
Yeah.
Oh, there's those men.
I'm just going to skip through all this stuff.
Wait, hold on. There was a story.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. So you just punch and then do that? Okay.
So you've got plenty of moves. Now, one thing that I'm going to warn you about this game is that for some bizarre reason, it's got like really bad screen tearing. Like, it's a game that looks like it would have been made in the 80s.
Yeah,
and
that's really weird.
Yeah. So you'll see, some levels are worse than others, but it's actually kind of really surprising and disappointing.
What's this thing?
It's a rock.
Oh, you can pick it up?
Yeah.
How do you pick stuff up?
Press X.
All right.
You can pick up that big rock. Watch this.
Cool. I'm so strong. That rock looks like a chicken nugget or something.
They do. It does look like a big, like, you know that thing about how McDonald's chicken nuggets are always in the same few shapes?
Yeah.
That's odd.
4 shapes. Yeah. Hold on. Let me get this. Was it a tampon?
Yeah. You can throw a tampon at this guy. Oh, well, that's one way
2 games you can throw tampons in. Gone Home and Double Dragon 4.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I'm actually in the PC trailer on Steam for Double Dragon Neon.
Really?
Yeah, I was like between jobs and I got hired to be in a video game commercial.
Okay.
I'm also in the one for Slender the Arrival and an old mobile game called Stack and Deploy.
Great.
I'm in a number of video game commercials. So I don't know why anyone's ever called me a video game journalist. Kick it, punch, 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 punch. How do you do that spin kick?
When you jump in the air with triangle, you hit circle. So here's where Double Dragon always gets kind of weird for me. It's not really a platforming game. This is an odd scene.
That's certainly a platform, though.
What is this, like a river barge?
Why are we jittery? Look at that.
Yeah, that screen tearing is really bad.
This is really bad. Wow.
So I was actually playing this game at my desk with IGN's Damon Hatfield the other day, and we got up to like the 3rd level, and it just straight up hard crashed. So kind of a bummer. This game's $6.99, so if you're like kind of itching for like some retro beat 'em up stuff, it's you could do worse, but it's got some issues. And I'm kind of disappointed in that. I feel like you should be able to get a look at that, man. You should be able to get a game like this running pretty well.
Who published this?
I believe it was Atlas. Oh wait, no, not Atlas.
Oof.
Arc System Works actually made this. I knew it was some Japanese company that started with an A. And they usually make cool stuff, but
is this who's that man? Is this Boba Goat? Am I thinking of a different game?
This is not a Bobo.
A Bobo.
This is just a dude with some S&M guy with a RoboCop mask.
All right, well they're both dead now. Cool, we beat up the mini boss. Miniature bosses.
That's the first level of Double Dragon 4. It's $6.99. It's out now on consoles.
Yeah.
Kind of a bummer, man. It's okay. It's fine. It's a serviceable beat 'em up, but I think you could do much better playing River City Ransom on 3DS or really Scott Pilgrim or any other number
Castle
of
Crashers.
Yeah, maybe even that new Power Rangers game.
Yeah.
There's a whole number of beat 'em ups out there you're better off with. So, there's that.
Yeah. That's it.
Welcome back. That hurt. I'll be honest with you. That really bummed me out that game has technical issues.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Well, Brian, I have something that might cheer you up.
What is it, Max?
I have a Barbie doll here.
What's wrong
Now,
with you?
if you're unfamiliar with the Barbie doll, you apparently have been living in some sort of a time capsule. Barbie's been all kinds of things. She's been like an astronaut. She's been a game developer. But has she ever been a dog owner? Well, great news. She is now. But here's the thing about being a dog owner. Sometimes your dog goes to the bathroom. They made a Barbie doll that comes with a dog that takes craps.
Is that a little butt?
Little butthole on the dog that you can look in there. You got to take the poops, which look like little Tic Tacs, and they're a supreme choking hazard. And you make the dog do a dunk. And if you're wondering why we're making a video about this, well, it's because it's really funny to me. But yeah, the dog also walks. Look, it's trying to run away from this waifish woman. What I love though is that she comes with all these accessories so she can pick up the turds. I have a dog, I don't know, you just use a little baggie, but I guess, Barbie's got weird hand problems, so she needs to have these weird crutches to shoo the dog away. What I love though is you can do all kinds of stuff with this. You can just have the dog just go to the bathroom on her. You could even have Barbie look like a real insane person and ride the dog around with these weird weapons and stuff. But what's cool too is even if you're feeling kind of frisky, and you can just use these to eat small lunches, oh num num num, pick up the poop. Anyway, that's Barbie with the dog turds. Back to you. Yeah. Anyway,
That's gonna look great in an expense report.
yeah, I bought a doll that goes and does turds.
I think the funniest thing was yesterday you pulled one of your poops is about to roll
my
off the
poops
table.
are falling all over the floor. Oh man, I have to go pick up that poop later. Be a conscientious dog owner and always pick up those little turds. Okay. All
right. So they made a dog. That poops, and Barbie has to clean it up. That's not great. But what if you had a little bit more money to spend on something completely ridiculous and terrible?
Yeah. So how do we even start this? They've been making toys of robots for ages.
Yeah.
People like robots. Kids like robots. They're fun. We're in this weird future right now where robots are suddenly an actual thing. They're like real functional robots. Like we can both talk into our phones and talk to a weird robot woman. But let's say we had kids and we decided we didn't want them to be stupid. Well, good news. There is a company, I believe, called Hanson Robotics that is making a little tiny, terrifying Einstein that will teach you science facts. Now here's the thing. This is $250. They're putting it up on Kickstarter, but they're basically ready to go to market. It's sort of a cross between like, I don't know. Yeah, it's awful. Let's hear what this guy has to say.
With a low of 41 degrees. By
He's
the way,
awful.
not to put myself out
He
of the
sounds
job.
like-
Oh, look
you
at his
can tell
head.
the temperature by counting the chirps.
Oh
of
my
the
God.
I am a robot
Professor, have
Einstein.
you heard any good
His
jokes
forehead
lately?
looks like when a
Stop
large
me
man
if
gets
you
out of a
want
taxi.
this one. An ion
Oh,
meets
that's
an atom on the
awful.
street
What is wrong?
and
Why
says,
are these people trying to
"Inside
kill
an
it?
electron."
They should all be fighting it.
How much did they pay this?
Ah, God!
Yeah.
I am positive.
Oh my God! What is right? He looks like
Yeah.
the ghost
Tell me
from
about
the
the
beginning of Ghostbusters in the library.
Yeah.
Oh my
100
God.
billion neurons, the
Yeah, it's really
human brain.
bad.
Oh, he closed his eyes. That
I
little turd man. That is disgusting.
It just looks like there's things living.
I
under
never
his
want to look at that
skin.
again.
Anyway,
Why did you show everyone that video? That's terrible.
real bad.
Oh God!
Please,
Stop it!
please stop showing.
Stop showing that
Don't show anymore.
face.
Yeah, so I don't.
Ah.
Their reasoning here is that Einstein is, he's a famous brain. He's a very smart man. Was a very smart man, and people, also like him. He had a goofy side. He'd stick his tongue out here and there. This robot apparently also sticks his tongue out.
Oh, God,
the
why
problem
would it
is,
do
though,
that?
Is this doesn't look like Einstein really? It's
No.
a scary thing with like weird like Children of the Corn hair.
Oh my God!
Yeah. So maybe just workshop it. I mean, like, we still haven't figured out how to make Furbies and Teddy Ruxpin
Ah,
scary.
God! It looks like Vern Troyer in a wig trying to kiss me. Stop it! Get that away from my mouth.
I like how we just summoned a ghost.
Ah.
It's just a scary man.
E
Yeah,
equals MC scared.
That's good.
Right?
That's pretty good.
Thanks, man.
I like that.
Yeah, they like that back there. They're laughing at that. That's not a good joke, though.
Yeah,
If you really,
it's a pretty bad one.
if you break it down, it's not funny at all.
yeah.
It's just a really corny.
If I was a very
it
rich
rhymes,
man,
so I said the same.
if I was a very rich man and I was like, I need to just, I would buy as many of these as I could and just burn them.
Yeah, I would actually. You ever go into a store and there's like a whole bunch of things that you can like that make sound and you press them all at the same time? I would do that in like Sharper Image if they're still not out of business because they spent 20 years developing and selling garbage like that thing. And I would turn all those little men on at the same time, and then I would kick them all on the floor so they were writhing in pain. And it looked like a bunch of smart scientists. Oh my God! Stop it!
Please stop.
Stop.
Excuse me. Please stop showing this. Please. Thank you.
That's the worst. You think
Okay.
they'll send us one?
Probably not after
So
that
we
video.
can fight it. That thing is that is honestly the second grader in those hyperboles where people are like, could you fight 20 second graders?
It's like scary. It's also.
I want to fight 20 of
think
this little robot
I think
brilliant
his,
science.
his arm moves, but just like one of them.
Oh, so he's just like, I'm a robot.
Yeah, I don't want to know what people are doing with that. Yeah. All right. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. All right. So movies come out in all sorts of shapes and sizes these days. You can go see the movie and it's at a regular movie theater, or you can go see it in like 3D, or you can go see a big old IMAX movie, which typically they don't shoot. I guess they do shoot entire movies in IMAX, but it's like kind of understood that it's kind of a special way of doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, certain movies, they'll do like certain scenes in IMAX or 70 millimeter or whatever it is. I was looking into this. There's not actually a standard for like IMAX screen sizes. They kind of fluctuate. They're sort of, depending on your local IMAX theater, you may be seeing a bigger movie than some other people. Disney announced that they are going to be releasing Beauty and the Beast entirely in full IMAX screen. So basically, the way they're marketing this, I have an image up here, is that if you go see it in IMAX, you get to see up to 26% more movie.
What?
Yeah.
Like the top of that fire?
You get to see a lot of ground. They had a little GIF floating around that basically you get to see some treetops and some fire. But yeah,
So
you
this-
get to see more movie, sort of.
So this is theater exclusive content basically.
Yeah.
This is like it's taking the worst aspects of when I go to like pre-order the new Assassin's Creed game and there's one hat in one store and there's a staff in another store, and to get them all I'd have to get it from different.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, and this gets even weirder because I'm not entirely sure what effect this has on when they release it on home video. I think it either. I don't know if it's like letterboxed or if you can't see it on regular TVs.
You got to buy an IMAX exclusive television.
You got to buy an IMAX theater for your home.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's stupid, but it's like it just seems like a really odd kind of marketing gimmick. And
Yeah.
obviously, movies are trying to get people to go see them. That's what they do. But
Of course.
theater goers, I don't know. They kind of fluctuate. We're at a point where it's frequently a movie will come out and they'll be like, "Hey, it's on early access. You can just buy it on Amazon on your TV," and you're like, "All right, that's odd."
I feel like
yeah.
we had a big push for 3D movies for a very long time.
Yeah.
They did really well for a long time. I think kind of less so now. There's still like a couple times a year, well, maybe you'll go see a 3D movie because it
Right.
makes sense to. So I think theaters need that new hook. And IMAX is weird because IMAX screen sizes differ wildly from place to place.
Right.
I remember reading a lot about IMAX theaters that were basically just larger regular screens, but they figured out a way to upsell people for $17 tickets.
I mean, yeah, we have the same thing with 3D. This is actually nothing new. There used to be a thing called VistaVision, which was this sort of I think Universal introduced it, but this was back in like the 50s, 60s when kind of TV was on the rise, and movie theaters were scared that people weren't going to go to see movies, so they basically invented this like larger format, and they're like, see it in VistaVision. It's a bigger movie, basically.
So this kind of pisses me off. I think for something like Beauty and the Beast, I don't really care. This is a remake of a cartoon that I saw 20 years ago, and it'll be fine. It'll be great. I don't really need to see the top of that fire or the bottom of that guy's ass.
It'd be really
Doesn't
weird if
matter.
they just have a lot of very important details that happen on the top and
Well,
bottom.
so I was going to say, we're both huge Star Wars fans. Great. And they pack those movies, like Rogue One, we were looking at every frame of that movie. We were looking at every corner of that movie. If they put that movie out with IMAX exclusive content and 26% more of Jeddah had a bunch of aliens in the corners that you could only see in that version, that would drive me nuts.
Yeah, well, we also grew up watching movies on standard definition TV.
Yeah,
and they used to
squash,
have that thing
pan
where
and
they're
scan.
like, this movie has been formatted to fit your screen. And I remember my first copy of Episode 1, I think it had a type of robot that wasn't actually in my home video version. Like you didn't see it. It was these little Rolo droids that were in the Trade Federation.
He's actually cut off.
Yeah, I think you don't see them unless you see it in widescreen. And I haven't really gone back and looked into this too closely, but I do know that obviously you're seeing less of a movie if it's like that. So for IMAX to be formatting Beauty and the Beast like this, it is kind of an odd choice.
I was about to say, like, it'd be really odd if like they started selling toys based on characters that you only see in the 26% of the movie that you only saw if you bought an IMAX exclusive ticket. It's getting ridiculous, guys.
Yeah.
Like, let's rein it in. I understand that the movie industry is sort of figuring out what to do next, and they're trying to decide day and day digital. Should we have more exclusive content? Should we do like 3D movies again? Like, there's 40. There's like I heard somebody tell me about like they saw Rogue One in like 4D where they're like splashing water on your face and your hair chilts and stuff like. Did you read about this?
Really?
Yeah. So there's like. It all feels a little gimmicky, and like it's honestly to me, it's like it's taking the worst aspect of the way video games are sold and dragging them out into the movie industry. So I hope we can rein that kind of stuff in. I personally I have a really nice TV at home and a surround sound system. I'd love to just be able to watch stuff at home more often.
If you want to experience movies in 4D, I can come over and spray you with a spray bottle.
Just everyone come to my house.
Yeah.
Come to my house. Max is going to sit in the front.
I have a fog machine.
He's going to sit behind the TV, spray everybody, and you'll get nice and wet.
You watch action movies, I can light some small fires.
So
Anyway.
yeah, I don't know. What do you think of this practice? I personally find it kind of gross. Maybe you're into it. Maybe you see movies. I know people that go to the movies every single weekend. So maybe this is something you're excited about.
Yeah. So obviously we saw Star Wars Rogue One a whole bunch because we've got weird brain problems. It's a pinball table now.
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Brian and Max from Up at Noon, and Rogue One, the highest-grossing film of 2016, and the best Star Wars movie of 2016.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
I like. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
Is now a pinball table. So we're going to play it. Zen Pinball, they're the guys that do, like Family Guy, Walking Dead pinball.
Pretty
They've
much
done
everything.
All sorts of Star Wars pinball. Yeah, so their thing is that their tables aren't based on real tables. They get to invent new ones, and they got kind of teams all over the place working on cool ones. So this is the Rogue One pinball table. We're trying it out for the first time.
What's really cool is you can actually zoom in and use the controller to like.
Oh,
look
weird.
around. Yeah, it's kind of odd. I know they also do they have VR support too?
Yes, I believe so.
And apparently the monitor we're using to record this is actually got 3D support. So it's got 3D too. It's kind of cool that they're just. What did I do? You locked. Oh no. How did I do?
There we go.
All right. I just want to. I don't want to look at him.
Were you
I don't know what I'm doing.
With the stunts?
Intro view. I'm not trying to do stunts. That kind of looks like Coruscant. How do I? All right, there we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Feed the zipper flipper.
Yeah, feed the zipper flipper. Do it.
I'll be totally honest with you. I'm not good at pinball. It's one of those things I've always appreciated the sort of like construction of, but I've never been great at actually playing it.
Yeah, I'm not great either. I
Nope.
mean, I can play it.
We have some friends, Scott Bromley and Sam Claiborne, who works here at IGN. Scott Bromley, who works over at the Star Wars show. Expert pinball dudes. Just like they know how to fix the tables and build them and
Electrocute themselves and whatnot.
Get shocked.
Burn their hands.
They all have high scores, and they put like ass and butt and stuff in the, in the menu.
I was using Amy, like that monkey from Congo. All
Yeah,
right, I already
that's a
lost
good
my
one.
ball, but I guess it saved it. I never really like the logic about how you're. Sometimes your ball is saved, and sometimes it's not. Hey, I hit that man. That's good, right?
I think so.
And then the ball went in that hole, but it wasn't like a bad hole.
It seems odd that
Oh,
they have
cool.
that they have paper cutout there, but then there's just like a real like 3D model woman
Yeah, I
standing
mean,
there.
essentially you could go completely insane and create like a totally virtual pinball table, but
Yeah.
they're still kind of married to doing sort of, physical stuff.
Yeah, it's making something that feels like it would be sort of grounded in reality, I assume. They just keep knocking it in that hole.
Damn it. Yeah. It's the 10,000 point hole.
There isn't much time.
Yes, there is. It's a pinball machine. Look at all these sound bites.
Time's up.
You talking to Siri over there?
I think something happened. I think Siri heard Jyn Erso's voice saying there isn't too much time, and she was like, "I'd like to tell you the time."
All right, so we've got two robots talking to each other.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I like the sound effects a lot.
Yeah. Honestly, pinball's like very satisfying. It's just,
Yeah.
it's, oddly kind of meditative, which a lot of games at this point kind of aren't.
You're doing pretty well. I totally pooped the bed when I played this before.
Score a super skill shot.
What's a super skill shot? Yeah, we actually went to Rancho Obi-Wan, which is the home of the world's biggest Star Wars toy collection.
Yeah.
And there's a whole arcade there full of old pinball machines. And I wound up just sitting there playing, a bunch of different Star Wars pinball tables. And they also had some pachinko, which is really weird because that's like Japanese pinball. That's sort of
Yep.
half slot machine, half pinball.
I really like what Zen Pinball's done with a bunch of their tables. They made a Boba Fett one. They made like ones based on Empire, Jedi, and A New Hope. There's even prequels ones. Like,
Yeah.
there's, like it's pretty cool. Like that they've just taken this license and ran with it. They've been going for a couple of years now. So I hope they keep. I hope we get an Episode 8 table.
I think the funniest thing with Star Wars tables, like the real physical ones, is they'll always have those like toys and stuff on the board or like models and things, but it's probably cheaper for them to just use existing toys. So a lot of them just have like they'll have like a Newt Gunray figure just hot glued on there. And I guess they were like, yeah, go to Kmart and buy one for $7 instead of having to like custom sculpt.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
cast
say
it.
like I wonder if they ever made like custom figures for those things and the collectors have them and stuff. I'm
Probably
sure they
some
did.
of them. Yeah, I mean it's got to be pretty weird to try to replace replace pieces if they break.
Yep.
So yeah, Star Wars pinball. We're doing it.
I'm gonna buy this movie digitally the first second I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have.
I'm down to watch it. Look at some close-ups of weird background stuff.
Yeah,
See more of that piss-footed Yeti more off.
all that weird stuff in Jedi with all those like weird
Yeah.
guys from Journey walking around.
Those guys with their heads cut off.
Yeah, the art direction on that whole section is really awesome. I feel like the last third of that movie is just phenomenal.
Yeah. Uh-oh. They're making that cat noise.
Wow!
Meow.
Wow!
Yeah. I think I played the Boba Fett table a bit, which is pretty fun because, like, Boba Fett will just fly around in his jetpack if you get enough points.
Yeah, that's what I like. It's like I mean, if you did that on a pinball table, there'd be what, like a zip line and an action figure?
Or, like,
but-
little fires everywhere.
Yep.
Oh, hey, there's the Death Star. I guess I should probably hit that.
You should definitely try to blow it up, even though they didn't do that in this movie.
We're not in the same league.
Is that Ben Mendelsohn?
I don't think so.
I'd like it if they just had one dude who did all the voices for all the tables and he wasn't very good. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. And he did like R2's voice. He's like, I'm R2D2, a robot.
Weepity beepity boop. Squee.
All right, so the Death Star's gone. I don't
know, yeah.
You might have missed your window to steal the plans using
I love
a
how
ball.
like old people will tell you, "Oh no, there's a story to the pinball table. You just have to know how to play the game." And you're like, "It's a bunch of like noises and stuff."
No, but there
Hey!
definitely is a weird narrative to it.
Oh crap.
Oh, you beat my record,
Yeah.
which I believe was your record.
Yeah, it was
from
actually my
before.
record. Oh no, it played the Psycho theme and I died.
Oh man,
7.6% chance
All right.
of failure.
Am I still going?
I think you get the weird like if you matching game thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Rogue One Pinball. It's out now on consoles, PCs, everywhere you can get your Zen Pinball on.
Use it to score a super skill
Yeah.
shot.
Max is still running.
Try to
running
beat
stuff
try
here.
to beat my score because
Yeah.
I'm the best. Wait, never mind.
Nope, he's very bad. But if you can beat Max's score, which I'm sure you can if you're a pinball expert, and I'm sure if you are a pinball expert, you're watching this video being like, you should have done this, this, and this. We're not great at pinball. We're
Yeah.
good. I'm pretty good at video games, but pinball's one of the blind spots for me.
Yeah, it requires physical skill and a tolerance for lots of clanging and banging noises.
That's the thing. Like I always feel weird about just actually picking up a pinball machine and shaking it, beating that thing around.
That's like a whole part. I learned that from Bad Santa, where Billy Bob Thornton is like pelvic thrusting that young lady.
Yep, exactly.
Pinball.
And on that note, Rogue One Pinball out now. You can pelvic thrust that old lady.
Yep.
was a good time.
Bub, they got me. I'm trying to get a Genosha, but Sabretooth's dunking out on my face. You just witnessed an exclusive scene from Logan.
Is he going to commit suicide?
I think a dog's gonna walk off the desk.
Oh, he's going to walk up the desk.
going?
He's going. He's doing it.
going?
Oh, you can lead a horse to the edge, but you can't make him
My
jump.
puppy, come back!
We thought we'd tune into the community real quick. Those of you who are insane enough to watch this show, we got some great questions. Max, do you know what Sunday is?
The day of rest?
The big game.
Ooh, the big
number one
game.
gamers game,
League
the
of
Super Bowl.
Legends.
Super Bowl time. So we got a question from Christian Romero. He says, "Hi Brian, love your show. Who do you go for this Sunday's Super Bowl?" So big game coming up on Sunday. It's the Patriots versus the Falcons. I'm going to preface this by saying that I know nothing about either of those teams or none of the men on them, or even if there are women on them. I wouldn't even know that. But just based on those names alone, who do you think's going to win?
I think the Falcons.
Okay, why is
Because
that?
they are the fastest bird.
Now, Patriots in back in the day, the olden times, before emails, before some of you even knew how to use a text on your cellular phone, would use a Falcon to make a call. It would take a very long time. They would send a Falcon into the sky with some news attached to his legs or his arms or whatever they call that part.
I'll have you know that the peregrine falcon is specifically endangered because it was frequently hunted by patriots.
That's right.
In early colonial times, the New England Patriots, the original ones, those founding fathers, would go falcon hunting because the falcon was deemed the most delicious version of the eagle.
Wow.
And they would climb up on the tallest rocks. They'd go up in New Hampshire on Mount Monadnock, and they'd try to pelt that old bird with the blunderbusses.
So do you think the Patriots will be able to do that to those old birds this Sunday at the big game, the Super Bowl of all bowls?
We'll have to tune in to find out.
We have no idea.
I don't know why we have a show.
Yeah, well, yes. Okay. Cyborg Man asks, "Hey, can you get the shark out of the vase thing?"
Like, no, we can't.
You ready? Hold on. Don't do it. Don't. I want to get in real close so people can hear. I'm gonna get my mic right up there.
It's not really coming out.
It's like the Sword in the Stone.
It's kind of, no, it's not. I don't think you've read that book.
Yeah, it is. The shark in the vase. There we go.
It's really stuck. He got very big.
Look at that big flapper.
I don't. He's got a hole. He's got this weird hole in him that's full of water.
Pull him out of the tube.
Hold on.
Get that big wet shark out of that tube. Get that shark out of that tube. Pull him out of the tube. Pull him out of the tube.
I'm stuck my finger in this hole.
Oh, it's a boy.
It's a big one.
Oh,
He's gonna leak water.
oh,
over
he's
it.
beautiful.
My finger's
He
stuck.
is so beautiful.
Why are you doing
He's
that?
so beautiful. Oh, it's a big wet boy.
Oh man.
That's gonna be trouble.
We're gonna get in trouble
We're gonna
for
get
getting
arrested
the
for that.
wet-
We're getting in a lot of trouble for that. A bunch of people are yelling at us right now. Anyway, we got a few minutes left in the show. Let's talk Mega Man.
Yeah.
Another big blue thing that has been neglected for a long time.
What did you do?
I got the shark stuff on my hands and I'm wet now.
Hey, who am I? Chisa, pizza wonky, wookie Chewbacca. Ho 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 ho. Ne wanawanga, ne java no bara.
We still have a few minutes left. Do we even have to do it? Can we just?
I don't want to use that. It's like a nice microfiber
God,
cloth.
all right.
I don't want to use
so
that.
now, Capcom just relaunched the Resident Evil franchise just the other day with Resident Evil 7. It's awesome. IGN gave it a 7.7. I know it's not what you wanted us to give it. Other reviewers were nicer. It's fine. I really like the game. We've been talking about it at great length. It's sort of a reboot, reimagining of what the franchise could be. But that kind of asks the question, what about Mega Man? Mega Man has been sort of dormant for a very long time. He's had a pretty bad couple of years. We've seen some Mega Man projects kind of come and go, some weird iOS ports that just came out recently that were terrible. Then we got Mighty Number 9, which was supposed to be this kind of like spiritual successor to Mega Man. That didn't pan out either. Some of you liked it. I didn't think it was nearly as bad as everyone else said it was, but it had a lot of problems. Mega Man is the most beloved Capcom franchise, at least to me personally, as like an 80s, 90s baby. Like, that's my jam right there. I love Mega Man. Mega Man 2 and 3 are two of my favorite games of all time. But they're not making any new Mega Man games.
Well,
so what happens then?
Well, leave it to a guy named Peter Sjöstrand who made a game called Mega Man 2.5D, and it's free. It's a free fan-made game. I think we got a trailer for it right here. He has animated cutscenes he had in there. Basically, it's got like 3D segments. This looks like Fez, but with Mega Man. It's awesome. And again, this is a free game that is fan-made. I don't know why Capcom didn't just call this dude up and go, hey, here's $100 or whatever.
Yeah, now, so that's the weird thing, is if you look at stuff like Sega's actually worked with people who are big in the community on Sonic games, who were working on Sonic, like, sort of fan stuff, and then they basically brought them in. Like, I think there's really cool things that happen with that. Bethesda's been pretty cool with working with modders and stuff, too. We've also read stories of them taking ideas from modders. Sure. That's a different thing entirely. Nintendo, on the other hand, historically shuts down fan stuff immediately. So some of you are probably watching this video being like, IGN, why'd you even show this thing? Now it's gonna get shut down. That's horrible. But I have a feeling, and I have a hope, that this thing and Capcom, this game and Capcom can sort of come together. That we can live in a world where a new 2.5D Mega Man game comes out, and the world will be a better place because of it. It's got co-op, it's got a bunch of other cool stuff. I love the art direction, so I really hope they do something with that. Now we have just a few minutes left in the show. We thought we'd answer some questions from the audience, but first, before we do that, Ask Reddit is one of the biggest places in the world where you can get your questions answered, and we actually found a few video game ones. So Max and I thought we'd run through some and give you some answers. I actually haven't seen these yet, so hit me with them, Max.
So I did some digging. I went on Ask Reddit and I looked for the most pressing video game questions I could find. Here's one. You are now personally responsible for Sonic the Hedgehog's well-being. What precautions do you take? And, well, the first result here is break its legs. That was the highest voted one, which is really, really weird. Also, I think it's odd that they say it's.
Well, hold on. I want to justify that real quick. If you break Sonic the Hedgehog's legs, he can't run off a cliff and die.
Yeah.
He can't get in any of the trouble that he usually gets into. He won't fight Dr. Robotnik or get drowned or crushed by spikes. So it's kind of, I mean, it's a mean thing to do to a pet.
Right.
Also, are we considering this like you're in charge of the franchise, or are you in charge of the actual animal man? Sonic the Hedgehog.
I think it's the Animal Man. Okay. I didn't even consider that. People are really like, I think they're, well, one guy said here, he said, first off, hydrophobic coating, which is smart because Sonic doesn't do well in water. And then give it a single ring, make sure it picks it back up when it gets hurt. It can't die as long as it has one ring at all times.
Ooh, that's called a marriage.
This was actually going to be my answer here. Electric or whatever. It says put him in one of those hamster balls. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
If you just had Sonic the Hedgehog in a hamster ball the whole time, I
Sure.
think that's a great way to keep him safe. Now we have another good question here. This is a more serious kind of a home improvement type question. Does anyone know how to rig a toilet to make the Super Mario Brothers warp pipe sound when flushed? And I thought this was a joke question, but the dude apparently has a Super Mario themed bathroom.
Oh my God.
Which looks like this. And there's a,
What?
Yeah, a wastebasket that's the bricks. That's terrifying. I wouldn't want him staring at me.
Is that soap?
That's soap, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe it's a lady. And she I'm not going to scroll any further because that could go bad. So I have a house. I feel like one of those. I don't know how to make toilets like work, let alone make noises. Anyway. I feel like what's that thing? They're those little. They're like little baby computers, not a Raspberry Pi, but they're like an Arduino or something?
Sure.
I feel like you could probably use an Arduino. I don't actually know what an Arduino is, but if you're trying to make a Super Mario toilet...
We'll put it this way. You've been to Tokyo. I've been to Tokyo. You've pooped on a Japanese toilet. They make all sorts of funny sounds.
They apologize for being an inconvenience.
You can put music on them and stuff like that. They make flushing noises or like a wind noise. They have cool chimes and they say thank you for putting poop inside their mouths and stuff. So I think you could totally do that. I think it's totally possible. Buy yourself a Japanese toilet and rig the sounds to make warp pipe noises.
If you're looking for a cheaper option, Captain Confidential says, if I was doing this myself, I'd just buy a doorbell chime that you can put MP3s on and a couple contacts on the handle and the tank, and when you flush, you're simulating a doorbell, wire it up, and you're done. They're $50 plus or minus. I actually need a doorbell. You know, like I kind of need to get a doorbell, and I forgot that they've got like MP3 doorbells. Like I kind of want to have like a cool noise. What do you think a good noise for my house should be?
Probably the entire first Seal album. Hey.
I think it'd be pretty good. Oh, stop doing that. That's really awful. They're really bad. Don't do that. Please stop doing that.
It's called twerking, and all the children are doing it.
Not even what that looks like. Yeah, and then we got another great question here. Somebody asked, could someone explain the Metal Gear Solid series as a whole? Not really.
Sure. Yeah. We're gonna keep going for the next 4.5 hours. So just stay put, and we're gonna run right through it. No, just kidding. That's actually the end of the show. Thank you for your questions. Thank you to Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch for tuning in, and IGN, of course, every single week. I'm Brian. This is Max. Do we have anything up after this? Oh, my good friend!
Like that.
You disgusting man!
Help! The studio's haunted. Get him out of here. This is a terrible
Thanks
show.
for watching Up at Noon. There's a horrible thing. Sorry we got wet shark water everywhere and we showed you that weird Einstein thing. What the hell did we just do?
That was a fun show.
Thanks for watching.
Hey everybody, welcome to the land of the exiles. I'm Max Scoville, and that's Brian Altano.
Yeah.
And this is Stephanie.
Okay.
Hey, what's up? How's it going? Well, Stephanie's about to make friends with this lady.